St Margaret's Church owns this building, and it is still a church every Sunday, but during the rest of the week the Nave comes into operation. The Nave, if you like, is our trademark for what the church does during the rest of the week. The idea of the Nave is to invite people over the doorstep so they can come in and see what goes on in St Margaret's Church. But if we were to advertise that there was going to be a jazz concert on and it's going to be in St Margaret's Church, it doesn't have quite the same ring to the general public as saying the Nave.
It's certainly an unusual place to play in some ways, but there are quite a few churches now throughout the country that either churches that aren't in use anymore, that have been converted to art centres, or sort of multi-purpose churches or chapels. And of course there's nothing wrong with it. In fact, it's a good idea, because normally the churches are right in the centre of the community. You don't have to go out to a new purpose-built place out in the sticks.
Our events really split into three different areas altogether. We have a regular Christian program that runs on a weekly basis, and then we've got a regular celebrity interview series, a couple of those, one that's sort of quite hard-hitting and political, and one that's a bit more laid back and a bit more Radio 2-ish.
That's appearing on the board of wire. I mean, that was an amazing thing for you to do, really, wasn't it?
It was a huge compliment to be asked to do it because of the position that it had as a programme. Secondly, they were two of the funniest and nicest people you could ever wish to work for. So for someone who was actually deeply involved in news and current affairs, to have the opportunity to sort of step over the boundary and go back into something I'd given up when I was 17, which was dance. And actually, it wasn't us that pushed the legs thing, although it was very much a part of what we did on the programme. If you remember, someone, unfortunately, at the BBC stole some photographs and sold them to the Daily Mirror. And it was the Daily Mirror that had these rather grainy, rather out-of-focus photographs because they were taken so illicitly, with a headline which just said, "Psst, PSSST, wanna see Angela Rippon's legs?" And then you open it up, and inside there were photographs of me doing my high kicks. But I mean, that was really how it all started.
I don't think in something like this that the building is actually that important, and especially when you drive into the centre of the town here, and you're aware that the church is really an integral part of the community. You've got Boots and the co-op and all of the shops all around, and this is exactly how a church should be. It shouldn't be stuck out in the middle of a field somewhere where people have to make a special effort to go to. A church should be an integral part of the community, and I think that the way you run this with the interviews that you do in the lunchtime here is really the way that churches were originally intended to be used, the way that I think we forgot to use them. We sort of thought of them as being rather sort of holy, revered places where you could only walk in on your hands and knees with very hushed voices, instead of thinking them as places of joy, places where you could actually come to enjoy yourself, which is what people did originally in the Middle Ages, and using them as something that was just as important as the post office or the pub.
The other main area, the third main area that we do here at St Margaret's, is the whole area of the performing arts. And so regularly there's classical music and jazz music and folk music and rock music and theatre.
Were an alien visitor to hover a few hundred yards above the planet, it could be forgiven for thinking that cars were the dominant life form, and that human beings were a kind of ambulatory fuel cell injected when the car wished to move off and ejected when they were spent. If the visitors' curiosity was still aroused, it would quickly discover on landing from newspapers, television, commercials, that the car appeared to satisfy a compendious spectrum of desires, sexual, social, economic and religious, gratifying an A to Z of unbridled cravings in the guise of getting from A to B. Nothing performed.
We recently had Roy Hutchins doing his one-man performance of Autogeddon, the poem by Heathcote Williams. That's the third time that Roy Hutchins has been here performing Heathcote Williams' poems.
And even dogs, the visitor observed, would attack the tyres of passing cars as if biting at the tendons of a marauder. But these, as yet, were mere midgets shaking their fists at the heavens. For the visitor concluded, if you were conceived in a car as many are, if you first made love in a car as many have, if you went to work in a car as many do, and if you derived your sense of freedom from cars, you are going to defend them.